I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just polishing my jack. We think there are 3 types of floor jack that every automotive shop needs. Now, you may get by with just one floor jack or one type of floor jack, but we think these 3 would aid in the different types of light cars and trucks that you may be working on. So what better place to go for floor jacks than to Harbor Freight, because you can get all 3 at the same location. At least most of the locations carry these model jacks. You may have to shop around or get one shipped to you. Now, Harbor Freight did provide these jacks for us. We did not go out and buy these. They provided these, so they are somewhat sponsoring this video by providing the jacks. Now, let's dig into each 3 of these jacks. I think you can kind of see where we're going with this by what you're looking at here. We have a light duty and very low profile jack. We have the large service jack for lifting up, all that you need to. And then we kind of have the off-road style jack as well. Let's take a closer look. I guess we'll call this one the Purple People Eater. It's definitely a deep purple, in fact, a deep purple metallic. And this is the Daytona 3-ton Super Duty high performance floor jack. And it's got what they call their rapid pump system. And you actually have a dual pump design. We'll show that to you here on the back. Also, one of the things they claim is a magnetic filtration system. I don't know the details on it, but I'm assuming it's got a magnet in it. And anytime there's any metal from seals and the internal workings of the pump, as they start to wear, I'm assuming that magnet attracts that, keeping that metal from circulating through the fluid and through the actual hydraulic system. Now, this thing is built like a tank, as it should be. It needs to lift 3 tons, which is 6,000 pounds, by the way. If you take 3 times 2,000, it's 2,000 pounds per ton. Yeah, that's simple math, 6,000 pounds. Anyway, so it needs to be beefy, and it is. I believe this thing weighs in at like 104 pounds. So it's definitely not for the light at heart, but it is built very, very well. One of the things I really liked about this, and this may seem very simplistic, but if you look on these front wheels right here, we have a grease zerk fitting right there. So you can actually grease the front wheels. They're not rubber. They are solid steel. And I would imagine it's probably just a bushing in there. However, you can grease that. So that squeak, squeak, squeak all the time when you're pulling your jack around. Well, on this one, if it starts doing that, then grease it up and you're good to go. So a lot more fluid motion. This is pretty much an all steel design. Some of the others are built out of aluminum. This one is not. I believe it looks like 1/4-inch plate. See if we can't measure that without hurting our paint there. Yeah, so 0.258. So I would call that 1/4 inch, or they're close to it. Now, the minimum height on this, I believe they claim 3 3/4 inches, but let's go ahead and check that. So we'll move this down to there. Yeah, I would say so. So 3.706 inches at the lowest height. And we get a 2-piece steel handle. This is not an aluminum handle, it's steel, but it's going to go together very easily. The back wheels are just casters. Again, they're solid steel design. No grease fittings on those. Wouldn't expect to. It'd be hard to get to. But anyway, they do roll quite well. Allows you to maneuver that around even though this thing is 104 pounds. Installing the handle is easy. Basically, you may have to turn it a little bit to make sure that this meshes with the internal fitting in there. And then it's just going to slip in, and you see that little detent right there that popped out as I slid it in. So it's going to slide in without effort. To pull it back out, pull this pin out and slide it up. So again, going in, snaps right into place. And we can see right here this dual pump design. So we have dual pistons right here that's actually pumping the fluid. And we'll go ahead and close this off. And now we'll see this rise quite rapidly. So it looks like less than 5 pumps to the top. And I believe this is supposed to be a little more than 23. Yeah, so I got right at 23, maybe 23 1/16, maybe 23 1/8, which I think is what they claim, maybe at the top of these little teeth right here. But regardless, we're right at a little over 23 on the max height. And by the way, even on the back side of this, we see that complete boxed in design here, giving us more strength and rigidity, especially with this arm all the way up. So it's going to what this is going to do is keep this from actually flexing and twisting. So we're all the way down, handles tight, 1 full pump, 2, 3, 4. So about 4.5, a little less than 4.5 pumps to the top. Now, in addition to the grease Zerk fittings on the front wheels, we also have a Zerk fitting here, which is going to grease this pinion right here where this arm actually pivots on, keeping that nice and smooth. If we look here on the rear, we have a grease fitting here and another grease fitting right there for, again, greasing these pinion points right here as well, which that is for the actual handle motion and pumping the pistons there. This jack comes with a 3-year warranty, and you can pick this up for about $300. Right now, I'm seeing it at $289.99 or $290. Now we're flipping things around. Compared to the other one that weighed in at 104 pounds, this weighs in at only 36 pounds. So much lighter jack here, made of mostly aluminum. In fact, the side plates here are made out of 7/16 inch aluminum. So let's check that out. So yeah, it looks like the side plates here on the lifting mechanism and the side plates on the jack are right under a 1/2 inch, which would be 7/16. We also get a very low profile design. Let's see if we can get somewhere here for a measurement, and we can do that both on the plate there. So at 2.4 inches, but this also comes out, so we can get even lower. And looking at just over 2 inches, so not even 2.1 inches on that lowest setting. Now, obviously, we have a step up here in the jack, so this is not going to slide way under a vehicle, but most of the time, when you're dealing with those low-profile vehicles, like a lot of your Europeans or when people are lowering, typically you're lifting from the pinch welds on the side of the car anyway. You're not going all the way under to the rear end chunk or something like that. You're just trying to get into the side of the vehicle, get it lifted up, get it on jack stands, whatever you need to do. So this is a perfect jack for that. Also, typically you're dealing with those lighter vehicles and not needing a 3-ton jack. So that 1.5 ton that's going to lift that 3,000 pounds. Again, we're doing that simple math. 2,000 pounds a ton, 1.5 times 2,000, there you go, 3,000, voila. That's how that works. 2-piece aluminum handle here, nice knurling here on one end. But we do have a steel insert right here at the end of the handle. By the way, very easy to move this around. That is going to slide down, and this, you actually have a screw-in knob here that goes into that groove that holds that handle in. So you don't just pull this out when you're ready to pull the handle out, just unscrew that a few turns, pull out the handle, and you're good. But this is steel down here, so it's not going to wear like aluminum would. So I'm glad to see they put with just a roll pin, that steel insert, it's not going to wear away. And then again, screw that in and lock that down. Get a dual piston design here. Let's take a look. We'll see how many pumps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, so about 4.5, a little more than 4.5, with a max height of 16.25 inches, looks like. Yeah, about 16.25 for the max height. Again, the great thing about this jack, it weighs in at only 36 pounds, so easy to carry around. I wouldn't say easy, but much easier than any other jack. And we get that very low profile design. And by the way, looks quite nice as well. The machining here on the side just looks kind of cool. Get swivel casters here on the back. They seem to be aluminum. And here on the front, we have a single machined wheel here on the front. You're going to get a 90-day warranty on this, and it's going to cost you about $280. And as you can see, this jack here is built for the outdoors, or at least built a little more rugged than the other floor jacks that you typically see. This is the only floor jack of the three that you have to partially somewhat assemble other than just installing the handle. And it's really not that you have to assemble anything. You do have to put the wheels on, which, by the way, that's a pretty cool feature. I'll show you here in just 1 minute. But this is the Badlands 3-ton off-road jack. So again, 3 tons, 6,000 pounds. Just want to be very clear on how much load you can put on this jack. So it should be absolutely plenty for any of your off-roading trucks or vehicles to be able to jack the front end up or the back end up, or one of the corners. Also, the large wheels, these are solid wheels that are going to be able to bear the weight as well as be able to roll around, not just on the concrete, but through your gravel and dirt and other places as well, even rock, uneven surfaces. Going to handle that well. This weighs in not quite as heavy as the big jack, but at about 70 pounds, I believe. 72 pounds, I believe, is the exact weight on this, or thereabouts. So pretty heavy. Not just, you're not going to sling it around like the 36-pound all aluminum jack, but you are going to be able to pick this up. We got an integrated handle right there, kind of a soft, flexible rubber handle. And by the way, this jack meets ASME and PASC standards as well. So as I mentioned, these wheels will be off when you get the jack. Let me just run one off real quick. I wanted to show you this. So you get a large locking nut, which, by the way, that looks stainless. And washer here. Slide that off. Sealed bearings in there, so it rolls very nicely. You see this stepped axle here, and this axle, if you notice, goes all the way through. So solid steel axle all the way across on the front and back. Let's get this back on. That washer goes on the outside. And 19 millimeter. And it rolls very well. And we have the dual piston design here as well. And also the handle easily goes in. And on this one, it doesn't just pull out. You will actually thread that in to lock the handle into place. And just like on the front, we have a solid axle going all the way through. You see it right there in front of this plate here, going all the way across this, providing that additional stability and strength. And you see this locking pin right here. What this does, if it's up, it's actually freeing up this handle here so it will move. But you'll see this little groove right here. And what that's for, if we flip that down, now when we come down, you'll hear it click. There it goes. And so what that enables you to do is now use the handle to lift this up on the back wheels and steer this around wherever you need to. Now at the minimum spacing here, I really can't go all the way through here to the bottom, so we'll have to get an idea or either take their word for it. But looks like about a little more than 6 inches, and what they're claiming is 6 1/4 inches. So I believe it's 6 1/4 inches as far as minimum lift. So that's how much clearance you need to actually slide that under. As well as if you have lifted vehicles, then this comes with it as well. And so you find the holes in there and you can thread these down. And then you can actually pull this pin, lift this up. And now you've got a minimum height of about 14 inches, a little less than 14 inches. This can be used if you want to, but you don't have to. And by the way, the Allen wrench right here, if you want to tighten those down and leave them on there, is actually on board the jack, which is pretty cool. And then max height all the way up with the extension is 29, looks like right at 29 inches, maybe just a touch more. Couple of really cool features here. Number one, that Allen wrench I was telling you about right here. There's a little spring on this little bolt right here. And that's where that Allen wrench slides onto. So it's keeping tension on that. You can tuck it away back there, but again, it's not flopping around. It's got that spring tension on it. Pull it out, that stays there. But put it back in, easy to do so, but it retains that Allen wrench. And what you'll get this little bracket right here with it as well. And it's going to sit, that big hole is going to go right over the top of that valve adjustment, which by the way, you shouldn't be touching. And once you get those screws started, cinch it down. And then this. Going to go right in here, and not only that, not only will this clip over here, but also you see this right here is going to thread in to right there. So as you're bumping around, this is going to stay nice and retained, but it's there, easy to get to remove when you need it. And the main construction part of this jack is aluminum as well, and I believe 7/16 there. Yeah, so just under a 1/2 inch thick of aluminum plate there on the internal and external. And just so you see, here's a magnet here, sticks there to those shafts. Looks like stainless right there, barely sticking to it, so a little bit of ferrous metal in there, but you see here nothing at all. So definitely made of aluminum. On the bottom we get a full length skid plate on here. That's not necessarily for strength, that's just for when you're dragging this thing around, it's not actually catching somewhere on the frame as you're dragging it over tree roots, rocks, gravel, that sort of thing. So really like to see that to, again, just make that easier to move around. The Badland 3-ton jack is going to run you about $280 and is going to come with a 90-day warranty. Now listen, you don't have to go for the beauty queen here. They have several different models in this 3-ton category. We do like the fact that this one is combining, number one, some of the cool features and the metallic purple and the different colors, as well as still some low profile design, the heavy lifting, the rapid pump, and being nice and heavy duty with things like greased wheels and that sort of thing. Also, the lighter 36-pound jack, that comes in very handy when you're not working on a heavy vehicle, that you can sling this one around a lot easier than slinging the large one around. And then the off-road jack, that is great. Listen, I've seen tons of shops that have plenty of concrete around with service bays and everything else, and you still see a mechanic that's out in the yard somewhere taking off a wheel, taking off a tire, jacking up a truck, pulling a transmission out. It just happens all the time. Dealerships, small automotive shops, doesn't matter. You still see those cars being worked on outside of the shop, and this comes in very handy. And especially if you're off-roading, this is another very handy jack to have. Built very heavy duty, and it's going to be able to lift even sitting on the grass or the gravel or the rocks. We've already covered the pricing and the warranty on these. You know where you can find them at Harbor Freight. Hey, keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even TikTok. And if you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, if you hated our video on the Harbor Freight jacks, then let us know in the comments, and by all means, give us a thumbs down. Have a great day and keep smiling.